You wear you wear gym shorts all the time? Drummers love gym shorts.
I don't know if I'd be a gym short guy.
Yeah, you got those stupid legs.
Brunch. Hit it, boys.
Just had a real mystery situation today. I can't stop thinking about it.
Let's hear it.
Looked out the window
Yeah.
on the front lawn. This is the front lawn. That detail doesn't matter. On the front lawn is one of my masks. I have 3 COVID masks I wear.
Okay.
The 2 black ones with whatever company name that makes them, and then 1 New England Revolution one.
Which one was on the front lawn? Don't tell me.
Well, let's do a little rouletista here.
Okay, here we go.
What do you think is the...
I think that it would be, like, you would be upset if the New England Revolution one was on the front lawn.
That's very true. I actually, you know what? I don't know where the New England Revolution one is right now. So
you really only have 1 mask.
maybe. So I looked at it and I was like, is that what I think it is? And then I checked the apartment. I was like, all right, I got 1 black mask in here. Checked the car. Generally, I got 1 going on in the car.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't in the car, so I determined that's probably my mask. And I go look at it. It's got the little logo and everything on it. I haven't been outside especially like walking around the front lawn. Really sad to like think back on that. I've gotten in the car and driven, but my driveway, I go out the back, and then I go to my car. And there is nothing that was having me on my front lawn, and I have no idea how long. So, how the hell did it get there? What's going on there? What do I do with it? What would before I say what I did? What would you do?
Then you gotta toss it.
I'm so fucking weird. I didn't toss it.
Really?
I brought it in, ran it under very hot water for a long time, then washed it.
Yeah, I guess like if you're gonna keep it, you gotta do like a heavy wash because you don't know where that thing's been.
Right, but realistically, how did it get there?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm like legitimately thinking, I'm like, is somebody like framing me for a crime? Did somebody steal one of my masks? And
I'd say like most likely like an animal or the wind put it on the front lawn.
yeah, that's true. It probably fell out of my car.
Yeah.
And then something blew it there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the shittiest opening discussion.
So, was it?
We've
I
ever
thought
had.
we were going someplace.
I should throw
Wild.
it away.
Yeah, probably.
Like a real whodunit.
I think it's something that I never really thought of until this point. It's like, I wonder how many masks do people have at this point?
That's yeah. Well, now people are starting to double bag.
A double mask?
Yeah, they're starting to wear 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does that work? Is it?
Well,
like-
based on friction, you can ruin the mask and then get I'm just making a stupid
Is that a condom
joke?
joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really off my game today.
Just a
Coming in with heater
tough
of
start.
stories. Yeah.
heat checking on the first 5 minutes of the podcast.
Well, all right, what's the shittiest story I can tell? What's like the most what's the most
supposed to-
never funny humor?
You're supposed to hit a few shots before you chuck up a heat check.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, people are double masking. That's the thing because I think a report came out that said that it doesn't
Cause friction.
cause
Okay.
friction.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of like coaches on the NFL sidelines double up.
Well, they need to quadruple up because it's unbelievable how they
How
do not
bad.
know how to
Yeah.
wear a mask.
It's
What the
crazy.
hell are they doing when cameras are not on them?
I just like I don't understand like the inconsistency. Like the players are out there playing, and then they come and they sit down on the sidelines and they put on a mask. It's
That makes
very
it
confusing.
Patrick Mahomes sitting on the sideline with the mask. I'm like, you are screaming at everybody the entire game.
And you're swapping players in and out of the huddle. Like you're just yelling at them. You're close quarters.
That would be like if there was like boat racing, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna take a little break. Hey, Coxman, put a mask on. There you go, you're safe. Like when that is that Coxman, the person that screams the whole time.
no idea.
There's a person
I'm not
in
a big boat guy.
There's a person in boat racing. So my cousin was a great boat racer.
Is this like sailboat racing, or is it?
I don't know, not a big boat guy. Is I don't know, like things that would do regattas.
All right.
Like the type of boats that would do the regattas. So not necessarily did the Winklevi? They were on like a big team.
Crew.
They were crew. You know what? I think it's crew. But anyway, sometimes in boats there is a person whose sole job it is
Oh yeah, they yell at the other people. Yeah.
scream at everybody else.
That seems like the best job.
And that's what my cousin did. And I was like, that is the coolest way to be an athlete ever.
Yep.
All you do is scream at everybody, and they must.
You're just the boat boss.
Right. You must imagine the respect you have
Yeah.
that there's a bunch of people who are constantly rowing, so they got to be
Just-
yoked.
Just grinding.
Yeah, but they fucking listen to you. Like they will, if you say, "Hey, take your paddle," and like I don't know, like tickle the person behind you's ear, like start fucking with them again a little bit. I bet they'll do that because the respect that I think it's Coxman, Oxen, is there. We're really letting it fly.
Yeah, we're
on
just
this
crushing.
podcast so far. This feels. The cool thing about doing a podcast is, even when it's bad, you're like, well, it's a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Where'd you? This was us just doing an impression of a podcast. I actually talked. I was talking today with the Twitch stream because I did a little twitching, and briefly got to talking about when things are scripted in podcasts. And I was like, yeah, that just generally never works for me. And I think that you can hear it. It's just really easy to tell when a podcast is scripted and they're just going, no offense, like very NPR on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, although intentionally, every word of the shitty NHL podcast was scripted
Yep.
for that reason.
We've had a few scripted podcasts, or like I think maybe like 1.5 scripted podcasts.
You think so?
Yeah, well, we had the one where you literally read a script, so that's technically
Oh, that's
a
true.
scripted
That was scripted.
podcast.
Shout out David Crane or whoever would have written
Yep.
that script.
Or there's a guy who I don't know if he was a writer on Friends, but his last name was like Boner.
Oh, really?
Peter Boner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he could have been
Shout out
on
to
it.
that guy. And then I would say not necessarily like scripted, but like when we lose an episode, we kind of try to retrace our steps. And
That's
it's
true.
Not scripted. It's just sort of like rehearsed.
I said after this, there are any Bruntouchables in the mix. About to go do some brunch. Anybody have any questions or whatever? I don't know how I was going to be helpful to them. And someone was like, "Yeah, I got a request. No corrupted audio." I was like, "What the fuck's that supposed to mean? We don't corrupt audio." And he was like, "Didn't you lose your last episode?" And I was like, "Yeah."
It wasn't corrupted.
It wasn't corrupt; it just didn't exist.
You're right. We just didn't hit. We
Yeah.
just didn't hit record.
Yeah. Joke's on you. It was 1,000% operator error. Whatever. I think we got through. We've had a couple of interesting weeks in the old podcast. 2 weeks ago, we did the shitty NHL episode. Last week, we did multiple episodes in order to put one episode out, but I think it ended up being useful. There was a little follow-up on Patreon. If any subscribers want to check that out, I was a man of my word. I made a quick little video explaining why you get what you give. Sounds cool. And I don't hate that idea. If where needed, if there's any little supplementary thing we can do for the podcast, I think that's something that we can throw on Patreon without it seeming like we're locking anybody out. It's just like, hey, if you liked this and you want a little more, you won't necessarily lose out by not seeing
Right.
this. So
Yeah,
jump in
their
there.
response to it was pretty solid. I saw a bunch of people liked it, and somebody commented, and they were like, "No offense, you're the biggest fucking nerd in the world."
Really?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Nice.
Agree.
How do you know there are comments? Oh, I guess.
went to Patreon, and
Yeah.
there were comments on it,
Yeah, see, I have no idea. I just made the video and then like
Yeah.
texted it to you and was
and
like,
I took 2 days to post it, and
Dude,
then
yeah.
I put it up, and
well, that was good. It built up it built up
we're
a
getting reps.
buzz.
We're getting reps.
Yeah. So that's that. I feel like a common subject with us is things that maybe we could do with Patreon.
Yep, definitely. And I think we're going in the right direction. We've got some things.
Oh yeah.
that we're working on, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, we're bit by bit. I don't want to necessarily say improving because don't want to write checks that
Right.
that we can't cash.
Right.
But
We're thinking about improving.
Yeah, we're more into shit and thinking about stuff. Like, I was thinking today, I was like, like we ought to have a guest next week. Stephen Horowitz was a great guest, but I don't know, whether it's one of our friends, somebody, let's have it so you never feel like you definitely know what you're getting from us.
Nobody
Which I
ever
think
knows
you don't anyway.
You're right.
We could just have the two of us, and we have. I mean, so far we've talked about a very uninteresting mask story.
Well, the one of the best descriptions that I've ever heard from Brunch about Brunch was Brunch is a podcast that talks about wanting to be a better podcast.
That's cool and sad because initially we were very confident because so few podcasts existed. The bar was so low. We were like, hey, we can have a conversation with each other. That's got to make this a top 10 podcast in the world. And legitimately, there was like no refuting that. Nobody was like, oh, wait, this other podcast.
We smoked Gay Brunch right out of the water. They didn't last long.
Yeah, there was a podcast called Gay Brunch, and that was tough because we were like, we don't want to beat this podcast because they're Gay Brunch. We just ideally, but both of us have very successful podcasts, but can't help but notice Gay Brunch doesn't post anything and hasn't done any episodes.
And if you search Brunch on iTunes back in the day,
Gay
Brunch was number 1.
They were ahead of us. It legitimately it took what, like less than one episode to surpass that podcast.
And then we peaked.
Every now and then I'll search, like, is there the other place? Every now and then I'm sure someone's got to start a podcast and say, hey, let's call it Brunch.
Nope, apparently not.
That's wild. I was talking about that with some friends the other day. It was like, that would be like, having the podcast called Brunch would be like if my email address was david@gmail.com.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty nuts.
It shows how early we got in the game.
Yeah. Want to talk lottery? Want to talk promising young woman? Want to talk what is it? The Rulatista?
In and of itself?
In and of itself?
Yeah, dealer's choice. Go ahead.
Let's do promising young woman. Okay, promising young woman. Movie, on demand, buy it, $20. Highly recommend it. Honestly, I highly recommend anything that is anything though, but I also recommend this because it's a good movie. It comes seemingly 1,000 years after we saw what was an incredible trailer.
Yeah,
movie built off. I'd have to.
I thought I was the only one because like they released the trailer or whatever again to say like this is out next week.
Mm-hmm.
But when like there was a big buzz that was generated by like, oh, this movie's coming out next week, I feel like a lot of people didn't say like, oh, finally, like we've been waiting for this forever.
I mean, I wondered, wait, is this what that movie was? Because I didn't remember the name of it. I just remembered the trailer, which was incredible, and I forget the director and writer's name, but I wonder if this was one of those like kind of like Whiplash, where it's a movie that's made off of like, wait, I can see this incredible scene. Okay, let's make this scene and just make it a fucking movie. Because the trailer of, I think it's Adam Brody in the trailer, right? But I mean, I feel like everyone's already seen the movie, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything. But I certainly can't spoil the trailer. But like, drunk girl gets taken home by a guy. She's out of it. He's making moves. She snaps out of it. She's sober the whole time. He's horrified. Scary music plays. Name of the movie: Promising Young Woman. Like, I want to see whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah. Plus, it's Carey Mulligan, and Carey Mulligan is.
I know nothing about Carey Mulligan.
Really?
Other than that she was awesome in this movie.
You don't know anything about Carey Mulligan?
I really don't think I know who that was. Who
she is or was married to Marcus Mumford?
I know that. I did some Wikipediaing.
Okay, yeah. She was Daisy in The Great Gatsby.
Didn't see that.
You've never seen The Great Gatsby? We have to do an episode on The Great Gatsby because that
Really?
movie is like horrible, but there's so much to talk
I
about.
forget the details of The Great Gatsby getting made because I feel like it came out a little bit after Entourage pretended to make a Great Gatsby movie,
Okay.
where it's Martin Scorsese does a reimagining of The Great Gatsby. Vince, will you be my lead? There's a phone call like that. Vince takes it. It ends up being a hit.
Okay.
So we'll have to go back and watch that episode of Entourage.
Well, we should do a Great Gatsby episode where we discuss the movie and also the fake movie.
Yes. Well, the Entourage does this move all the time. All Entourage is you haven't seen Entourage, but you've seen Silicon Valley. Exact same thing. Here's what we want to do. Oh no, something keeps getting in the way. Something keeps getting in the way. And it's always Vince wants to do all these movies. No one wants to work with Vince. The director hates Vince. All these people. It's the exact same thing as Silicon Valley. But every now and then, the show realizes, how can this guy be a famous actor
If he's never
if
making
he's
movies.
never making movies and never doing anything? So a lot of seasons will end with, hey, Vince, it's Martin Scorsese. I'm doing a reimagining of The Great Gatsby. Will you be my lead? Sure. Vince is doing the movie. And they come back the next season,
And it's
that
huge?
movie was a big success. They never actually do the movies.
The one movie that I actually saw like be made in Entourage in like the few episodes that I watched where Aquaman was James Cameron's
Yep.
Aquaman, and it was like the biggest premiere like of all time or something.
Oh, yeah, despite rolling blackouts.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Another movie that gets made, but it stops getting made because the director hates Vince, is a movie called Smoke Jumpers. And
Okay.
they're firefighters, and the director, I believe he's a German guy named Werner, hates Vince, hates him so much. And you know who plays this director, Werner?
No.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Really? Hell
It's-
yeah.
That was my first exposure to Stellan Skarsgård. I had to look up. I was like, wait, is this guy a real director? Because a lot of times they'll bring in real
yeah. As
industry
himself.
people. Right. And I was like, yo, who's this Werner guy that he's being super mean to Vince? I mean, he's right. He keeps saying, like, you're not a good actor. I need you to be a better actor. I'm like, oh, I mean, it seems like Vince is a terrible actor. No one ever wants to work with him. He never gets to do the movies. But he tells him that he has a lip quiver. He tells him that he holds his head to the side too much, that he's clearly inspired, that it's the George Clooney generation of acting, which I have no idea what that meant, but I was like, ooh, fucking burn.
If I had to guess what that means, it means that people like your presence, but you're not necessarily
Right.
good at what you do.
Right, you're an actor because you're a handsome man,
Yeah.
and people say you get to be in movies. So that was Promising Young Woman. Do you want to talk about lottery, or do you want...
Are you done with Promising Young Women? I mean, I thought it
want to give like a score or something. I mean, I
No,
feel like we've
but-
said everything we can. No.
I enjoyed it mainly. Like, it wasn't a perfect movie or anything, and I think that
No.
it dragged at certain points. But it was like overall entertaining, and I think the best thing that I can say about it is that it reminded me of a movie that I would see in a movie theater.
It is very unique. I would say just overall, like as far as like it wasn't the best movie. It wasn't. This movie has elicited strong reactions, and given its subject matter, it would have to be a terrible movie
For it to
to
not
not
do that,
elicit strong reactions. Has an incredible acting performance. Visually, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
So when I was I started to watch it, I texted you and Pete, Pete,
Sure.
you and Jeff, and I was like, ooh, off to a strong start with this soundtrack, because it starts with like it starts with Boys, but with like a remix that instead of like the cute Nintendo-y like ba-ding fill for I Was Busy Thinking About Boys, it's descending instead of going up, so it's a little creepy, like a little like, ooh, I keep hearing the word boys, but there's something icky about this, which unfortunately perfect
Correct.
way to set up
Yes.
that movie. And then it has like a It's Raining Men thing. There's the Toxic
Yeah.
later on. Great
Toxic was used in the trailer, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I was thinking, I was like, you know what? For a trailer that left such a mark on me, I don't remember a lot of the details. I just remember like the scene.
I remember the scene, and I remember the nurse costume.
Oh, okay. So soundtrack, great, but and you texted me this as you were watching it. The color palette, is that what you would call it?
I said
Just
the
like
color
the
palette. Yeah.
I meant to look it up because that's not like color grading or anything. Grading is like how you kind of tint everything, right?
That sounds right.
Color grading is what they do in what's it called?
AP Bio.
AP Bio.
Where everything is just so fucking bright and like fluorescent.
Yeah. But this has just like so many blues and so many pinks.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of actually looking at all your streaming stuff, like dark, like neon stuff.
It's very like sort of like mixed between like bubblegum stuff and neon.
So I wrote down like it's very it had like presentation wise it's very squeaky clean.
Yep.
Which is obviously a hard juxtaposition with the actual
jarring,
subject matter. I don't know if we're spoiling stuff or whatever, but if you've seen the trailer, you know that this girl in her she turns 30 in this. So I was getting, what do you call us? You call like young, we're not young adults. This 30-year-old person goes to bars, pretends to be drunk, gets taken home by guys that fancy themselves good people, and then she flips the script and is like, "Hey,
you're a predator."
What the fuck did I say? Yeah. You know, and it turns out she was a med school student, dropped out, and you know that it has something to do with a friend, but you're filled in along the way. I don't know. I not to be crass, but I saw it was maybe KFC. Somebody said like there are a lot of twists and in this movie.
Not really.
And I was kind of expecting twists, and it sounds. I hope I'm definitely not taking the subject matter lightly, but like I assumed watching it that her friend was raped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I thought that was made like pretty clear.
Okay. So I was okay. So her friend was raped.
And I wouldn't call that like a twist either. Like they sort of
I was wondering what I missed
time.
with like the
I didn't
twist.
There was
stuff.
no. Well,
but
it
was not. I'm not calling KFC out. I saw a lot of people say like
really?
Twist, thrill ride, like all this stuff.
There was like one thing that I could see being a twist. Well, a few things, but like the one that like the big twist. Yeah, that. I thought they kind of like telegraphed that. I was like, oh, this is gonna happen.
Was like friends. So she dropped out of med school because her friend and classmate was raped when they were in med school, starts dating a guy, Bo Burnham, who was in their class in med school, and he says that he kind of keeps in touch with some of the guys, but he's not really friends with them. And she finds out that that her friend's rapist is getting married, and eventually, after confronting the lawyer who defended the rapist, whose life was in shambles because he can't sleep at night because of the shit that he's done to defend awful people. She writes at that, and then she meets with the friend's mother, and it comes to light that she's this tortured soul, and her life very much like I thought of Stuhlbarg in Your Honor when he says like when you lose someone like that,
like nothing
matters anymore.
Yeah.
She has like her
entire life like basically unraveled because of this one incident, this one night.
That and how so many people that
just
could
moved
have
on.
Right, that I was going to say made it better, but like that could have held this person to justice, that could have honored this person's life, which is the biggest thing. That like this girl ends up dying presumably by suicide. All of them just moved on, and they're like, "Oh man, well it's crazy. Like, but what are you gonna do? Like, there are all these accusations all the time, and eventually, her friend's mother and meeting with the lawyer, which I don't know what she was planning on doing. She was planning on doing something fucking bad to the lawyer.
I think she like the insinuation was that she like brought a hitman with her with the lawyer.
Right. Someone was outside, and he was like, "Do I go inside now?"
Yeah.
Anyway, she starts dating Bo Burnham.
In that scene, by the way, suggests that like if anybody had shown some sort of like sympathy or regret, she would have kind of just.
Oh yeah, she might have
just been like, okay, yeah,
right.
Like, that's all I wanted. I wanted people to express remorse for what happened.
But just everybody, from lawyer, the dean of the school, just everyone so cold. Their third best friend were just so cold about like, well, what do you want?
Right.
You know. So, and I was gonna say I like this about the movie, but like this is real, where someone's in the right, and everybody there they exist in a world where everybody is like, what's wrong with this person? Like, or I think the viewer, and this is gonna get to my biggest issue with the movie, I think the viewer strongly understands that Cassie, the main character, is in the right, and that what she's doing matters, and that everybody else is wrong. The movie ends by making her expendable and has this big kind of walk-off, aha, peace fuckers, I got you moment. But in doing so, it has her murdered. And that's where I feel like the script, like great performance. I think the script was a little too ambitious there, because I think it assumes that the viewer won't care about the only, like, this tortured fucking person. She ends up getting fucking murdered, and I didn't have this hooray at the end when, so she gets murdered, and she schedules texts, sends out mail and everything to have it so people know that she was murdered during a confrontation with with her friend's rapist. And at that guy's wedding, the police come, they arrest him and everything, but she's obviously dead. And that's where it
doesn't feel like a win. Like nobody wins.
Right. And obviously I've thought about this a lot. There's the obvious counter is nobody was going to win, just given the premise of this movie, no matter what.
Throughout the course of the movie, like, it showed that she wasn't like too far gone from getting some sort of her life back, if there was like loose ends tied up as to what happened when she was in college. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
She was on the path to feeling better and like enjoying life, and then shit happened again, and it like came back to haunt her. So like, when it's a case of like there was no way she was gonna be able to move on or whatever, then that's why when like at the end, if she dies, you're like, okay, that it was like a necessary sacrifice or whatever.
That like she was willing to.
She was lost anyway.
Yeah, but that's, and I guess that's more of a commentary on the whole situation. Like, she didn't sign up for that. Nobody signed up for that. You know.
Yeah.
So that's my one critique, is the final act. Did you notice the casting? And I think that they play a lot into guys fancying themselves good guys and not understanding that they're shitty fucking humans.
Yeah.
Adam Brody, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Sam Richardson. Sam Richardson?
Sam Richardson, is that the guy from I Think You Should Leave?
I Think You Should Leave. Yes.
Okay.
He's Tim Robinson's guy.
Yeah.
He's in Detroiters and Veep. Bo Burnham. All dudes who are typecast, I think. Maybe I'm reading too far into this, but like Adam Brody is like the cute heartthrob guy. Christopher Mintz-Plasse is the harmless nerdy dude. Sam Richardson, at least in Veep, is, I mean, like borderline asexual. Just like a lot of like Bo Burnham is
like
Bo
seemingly
Burnham.
harmless guys,
Right? Just like harmless, that the last person that would ever do anything terrible. And this in the movie, this her friend's rapist is a successful doctor because they all continued with med school when these other lives were ruined.
Mm-hmm.
And she says to him when she goes to his bachelor party and she's putting handcuffs on him, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I won't do anything. I'm a gentleman."
Yeah.
There's like a lot of, I think the movie very wisely leans into the, oh yeah, well this guy is not who you would expect to do anything terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't rely on the like frat. This is a frat boy trait.
Right. Like not a bunch of like yoked like fucking dudes, you know.
I will say one of the casting choices was like just kind of stunned me, and it was Max Greenfield as like a character who you don't see until the end, but like there's a really like emotional crux. Like everything was sort of like building up to this thing, and like Max Greenfield has to like really carry this emotion and like chaos, and it just does not feel like it's like something that Max Greenfield is equipped for.
Oh yeah, I mean he plays a douche, which a lot of these guys are douches. But when he opens the door and you see him for the first time, and he's just wearing a fucking polo, I was like, yeah, it's just about the, God bless you, Max Greenfield. I was like, that is just about the douchiest sight these eyes have ever seen.
Yep.
He opens the door. There's a bunch of dudes having a bachelor party. She's dressed as a doctor. He says, well, the doctor's here. And all the boys start fucking howling.
Yeah, but then like there's like the after scene, like the morning after, and he's basically playing Schmidt. Up in, in that scene, and that was just really weird.
Yeah. So I've seen, I'm trying to think of like reactions I've seen.
I've been totally closed off to like
really
seeing anything said about this movie.
So I think I've heard perfect movie, which you hear that every time a movie comes out, and I heard thrill ride and twists a lot, which I will say, like, obviously emotionally it's a ride, but Carey Mulligan, her ability to go all the different places she does makes that movie. Like I think that
she's a great actress.
If that were a worse actor, then I think that movie takes like a pretty significant
I agree.
hit.
Yeah, I agree. You saw Wildfire, right, with Carey Mulligan and Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh, I don't know. I think I was supposed to.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I might have skipped that one.
She's really good. But no, I agree. I mean, she carried this movie.
Yeah, she was, and like, I don't know if there's like Oscar buzz for this or whatever. I would say
I don't know if there's Oscar buzz for anything.
Right? Is the Oscars exist anymore? One of my friends tried to ask me about movies the other day, and he was like, "Oh, did you see this one?" He was like, "I'm trying to get into movies now," and I was like, oh,
"Why now?
You can get into movies now? What the fuck? I don't know."
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say perfect movie. I would say that it's a good movie. Like I
watched
movie.
it twice. I'd say that it's like high B range.
Yeah. I would say like mid B, high B. Yeah, like it's pretty captivating.
Yeah,
but it's
definitely
has its slow points, and there are some holes, I guess.
Yeah,
but like I think maybe it has the like the Netflix appeal to it, where it's like you do pay $20 for it, but like you're at home and you can basically just enjoy it at your own pace. But also there's no really good movies coming out, so like this seems better.
Yeah. I mean, obvious PSA. We should have done a teacher pre and post PSA style thing. A teacher opens and says, like, hey, this is graphic. And then after it's like, hey, that was graphic. Pre and post PSA. Fellas, don't be any of the guys in that movie.
No
be her father.
Her father is
super supportive,
very supportive, and like just a calming presence. That guy's been in stuff. I've seen him in stuff. I have no idea who he is, but like he's got the best voice. He just has like a very kind face.
And doesn't he always? I think that like because of his face, he always plays hard asses, right?
Does he?
I think I don't know who that guy is.
Me either, but I like him.
Yeah. So, you think Bo Burnham's getting any noms off this movie?
Probably not.
I'm kidding. I do not think Bo Burnham was good in this movie.
He was fine in this movie.
I think he was.
He played Bo Burnham. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like when you go through the typecast, like this guy's like Christopher Mintz-Plasse is like this. This person's like this. Bo Burnham is perpetually Bo Burnham.
Yep.
Which no knock on it. Unless he play. Oh man, he was a real dick in one scene when she confronts him about having been there, and she says like, "Hey, if you don't," like,
as one might say, he reveals his true colors.
Totally. He yeah. Oh my god. I think I let out like a at the TV when because she's threatening to say that he's on video at this horrible party that they'd had, and she says, if you don't tell me where this bachelor party is, then I'm gonna send this video to everybody and your life will be ruined and everything. And he says, yeah, and then we'll both not be doctors, you failure.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, yikes, dude, and left. But I've been like, how could you possibly think she's a failure? Like her not being a doctor, you should fucking know, was not a failure. I know that he was just trying to say the worst thing in that moment possible, but oh boy.
Back somebody into a corner, they revealed their true colors. One of the things that like I had trouble figuring out after watching it was like that wasn't part of the plan, right? Like the relationship with him.
Oh no, I don't think so. I think that she started to feel better and was able to compartmentalize her trauma more and try to have like a healthy relationship with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some cute moments in there. I'll say like a twist, I guess. You said that you saw coming that he was somehow involved. I guess I just didn't think about that, but
well, I think that I figured it out when I like paused the movie to get up and go grab a drink, and they were like lovey-dovey, and there was like still like an hour left in the movie, and I was like, okay, so all right,
yeah, someone's an asshole.
Yeah.
So watch that. Hopefully, again, like Carey Mulligan, Best Actress. If there's awards, I don't know.
In the discussion, because I don't know anybody else
is Carey
was
Mulligan
in a movie this year.
English?
Don't think so. I think she's American.
Okay. Because Marcus Mumford is not.
Right. British actress. Wow, okay.
And I believe I looked up the director's name. The director I also think is British.
Emerald Fennell.
Yeah, so I don't know if she wrote and directed. Like, again, I think the whole package was really strong. But this script was... I feel like, listeners, let me know. Does the script assume you're okay with her dying? Which I just wasn't. Like at the end of that, obviously you're glad that those fucking monsters got what was coming to them, but at the expense of
like,
her
is it
getting
a trade
murdered,
that you're willing to make, for lack of a better term, I guess.
Right, at the expense of her getting murdered, I think that just like the viewer's experience should probably be rooting for.
And I guess like maybe it wouldn't make a difference, but like if you're gonna do that, have more of the after, where it's like satisfying to the viewer to see it all come crumbling down, for the people that you've spent the entire movie like sort of like rooting for them to watch them.
I mean, right. I mean,
pay the piper.
I mean, consider that all those guys didn't pay for shit the first time around.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That, like, what happens with Max Greenfield's character? He just runs off at the end of the movie. But, like, that guy's got to fucking go down, too.
You would assume so, and you would assume that like Bo Burnham as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I would prefer. I guess like if you're gonna kill her off, I'd want to see more of like the after of it.
Yeah. So I mean, I
think I think like the message that it kind of sends like it's not important that she's dead.
So I don't want to say that, but I think that it banks on the viewer
like not really caring.
Yeah. Whether or not this person lives or gets murdered. And I mean, you know me watching movies. If I see anybody die in the movie,
yeah, it sticks with you.
I cannot think about anything the rest of the movie. That fucking life was lost. So, I have a new memory on my phone. You know what it was?
Nope.
Taylor Swift concert.
No way.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Every time my phone just does that now. It'll just say, hey, here's a memory. Is there supposed to be a rhyme or reason to that? Is it supposed to be like a year ago, 6 months ago? Because now it'll just tell me, hey, there was a time that you had fun.
Did stuff?
Yeah. I honestly think it's like, hey, buddy, remember? They're there.
You used to be cooler.
Yeah. Or at least you used to spend money. You weren't necessarily cool, but you paid for cool experience stuff. On the subject of money, I learned the other day I'm a surprisingly sore lottery loser.
Really?
Did you play the lottery at all last week?
Yeah.
I was playing it like crazy.
Did anybody ever win it?
Yeah.
They
I
did?
think some guy in Michigan.
Oh, damn it.
My friends and I were doing like big group orders.
Yeah, me and Ellen dropped a 20 spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cute.
How much did you go in?
We were doing 20 each 3 nights.
Wow.
Or we did, well, actually, I think one of them was 20, 2 of them were 10, but one of the times I bought the tickets and it was a $4 winner. So I went to get it redeemed and I was like, and we'd already had tickets for that night, but I was like,
just give me 2 more.
Yeah, you know what? Give me another 20. And
Jesus.
I was like, my friends, that was a great experience. Leading up to the drawings, like my friends and I were seriously having like arguments about what we were doing with the money. And it was, honestly, it was worth losing.
It's an episode of Friends.
To have that experience. What's an episode of Friends?
Remember? You don't remember one where they play the lottery and they're already like, they're fighting about like what happens with the money and stuff. And like they're all fighting and then Phoebe throws the ticket out.
Oh, okay. I don't remember this.
Really?
How do
it's a whole episode of Friends.
That shows how much they say people can't change. if there's a second in my life right now where I don't remember every minute of Friends, that means I haven't watched Friends in so fucking long.
Yeah, there's a whole episode, and then Phoebe throws out the tickets because everybody's fighting over it and what they're gonna do with the money and all that.
Interesting. I mean, Monica and Joey already hit the lottery. Monica's living in like this rent-controlled, unbelievable apartment.
Yeah,
because like
her grandmother.
Right, they have some like her grandmother.
I would say like
Rachel
hit the lottery because like,
right,
she left her like rich fiance
and still ended up being in like a primo situation. Yeah. I mean Joey obviously though.
Yeah,
Joey hit the lottery because I don't know he didn't hit the lottery because when you hit the lottery you typically like spend the money and stuff. All Joey got was like money thrown at him.
Yeah, he spent Chandler's money.
Do you think that Chandler had like a debit card that he reloaded every couple of weeks?
Probably.
For Joey? Yeah. How much do you think Chandler? What do you think Joey's allowance was?
Like $300, $200, $300
a week.
Yeah.
I mean, living in New York in the 90s, I would say. I mean, me, if I'm living in an apartment and someone else is paying everything for me, right? Like
Joey's buying like sandwiches.
Right. He's definitely buying sandwiches.
Maybe like $100 a week.
I would say put $250 in it and reload it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
That allows him to go on a date if he needs to. That allows him to do little things here and there, but not like buy shit.
Right.
I don't know. That might be a sad experience for Joey. Joey actually, not to get stereotypical, but like it's very possible like Joey could have had the blues. Profession that is constant rejection, I mean, he doesn't even go on auditions.
It seems like he's sort of like unfulfilled.
Right. And nobody...
You see that towards like in the later seasons where he just like wants to find love, basically.
So that was an issue with the whole lottery thing. Obviously, there's the lottery has a reputation of carrying a depression with it, which I was like, please, I've been training.
What, is this going to get worse?
Right. But I did think about it. I really did think a lot about, like, if we won the lottery, I would, and there was an easy joke of like, well, how often do you really feel this? If you win the lottery, I think it's very possible that you would never feel accomplished again the rest of your life. You know?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, even like little things, like doing like a puzzle, like that, you just be like, yeah, well, the only reason you're doing this fucking puzzle is because you have a fucking bajillion dollars. You can do whatever you want. So what are you doing? You're just choosing to do something that anybody could solve? Yeah, cool accomplishment, bro.
I don't know. I'm willing to find out.
So that's the overall thing. Like, if I'm sad as a normal, like, working man, then
let's try out rich sad.
Right. Try out being super rich. What would you do? Would you tell friends if you won?
I think that would be like the most stressful part of it is like
I think I would have to tell you.
I don't want people talking to me. Like that's the thing. As I don't want anybody to talk to me that I don't want to talk to.
I see. I more just wouldn't want. I want people to like me for reasons they like me and dislike me for reasons they dislike me. I wouldn't want to have this weird thing where like I go and hang out with my friends and
you're like, are you being nice to me because I'm rich now?
Well, here's like elephant in the room. You have like $1 billion or something like that would just be fucking weird.
Yeah.
So then I was like, would I just like anonymously gift them money? I think you can do that. But then I feel like they would start to. I'd
enough of your life would change that like people would know that
figure
you
it
came
out
into money. Yeah.
Right, but so I really have thought about this a lot. I'd get a nice house, and that's so sad that like our generation is like, if you won the lottery, what would you do?
I would buy a house.
The shit that people did at like 23
right.
in other generations. But I would buy a house, and even then, I feel like people would be like, nice house.
Yeah.
What happened? I would say I came into money.
Died.
Say like a Bitcoin thing. Just be like, it was a big. Apparently, GameStop stock is a big thing now. I'd say a GameStop stock. That's a tongue twister. And then like hope that no one else is like, hey, well, you also went on vacation once these last 2 years. This isn't adding up. But I
don't think that I could hide it. Like I wouldn't be flaunting it or like changing up my lifestyle all that much, but like I'd just like probably suddenly quit my job, have like a pretty nice house and do nothing.
See, I would still want to make, I don't know if I would like reduce my hours or whatever. I would make enough like life changes, but like legitimately I would still want to do like brunch or some version of brunch.
Like I would invest in my hobbies, I guess.
Right, that's exactly it. Like I would like send money to bands I like and shit.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I don't know, like let me maybe come by the studio or something just to like watch or something. You don't have to though. Just fucking take it. Like I just want you guys to keep making dope shit. Like I would invest in shit that I like.
Mm-hmm.
But I would yeah, the giving, and obviously I would donate a shitload of it, assholes. Jesus, goes out.
Get off my back.
Right, holy smokes. I would. My concern is winning the lottery in some way, shape, or form ruins your own life. That's inevitable. Like just from, again, like depending on how you're wired, you're gonna feel like a failure and a bunch of shit like that. I would be very afraid of ruining like my loved ones' lives. Like
how so?
I would not. You're a tough example because like we've kind of just like melted into the same person. So like whatever. Like if I'm fucked, you're fucked. Like vice versa. But if I've like, I know of friends who have jobs have lives that they like. They have purpose. They feel a real sense of purpose, and most things in their life work for them.
Okay.
I feel like disrupting that is a lot of pressure. Like if you just say
that's not
someone,
on you. Like
true.
Anything that disrupts their life is like a choice of their own.
Right. Maybe. I don't know. I'd say maybe like, hey, do you like the apartment you live in or something? Okay. I just bought it for you or something. But don't quit your something like I wouldn't want to make my friends quit their jobs and shit.
Well,
like
I don't
that.
think that you can make them do that anyway. Like you can.
I got the money. I make them do whatever I want.
You can give them the money and say like I'm giving this to you. Do with it whatever you want. And like I think from that point you can wipe your hands clean with it because like whatever they do with the money is their decision.
Right, but yeah, now you're suddenly making it. And I know that like there are far worse problems you can have than someone just giving you a shitload of money, but I don't know. Like that could just. I feel like that's a huge change to put in someone's life. Obviously, it doesn't in have most
to
ways
be
for the better. But
doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
If it's a huge change in somebody's life, it's because they consciously chose to make the change.
Yeah, I heard our pal Mark Bertrand. They were talking about the Mega Millions when it was coming up, and they were saying like what they would do for each other. And Bertrand said the move is to pay someone their salary, which that's cool. Like that doesn't change their life. I mean, it obviously changes their life, but it can't like ruin their life. You know,
right.
That's like a very harmless way. But in that case, you got to make sure people don't know how much money you won.
Yeah.
Like if I win $1 billion and I go up to like one of my dearest friends and I'm like, hey, I am giving you $54,000. They would.
I think the most awkward part of that would just be me asking any of my friends how much money they make in a year.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money anybody makes. I barely know how much money I make in a year.
That's so true. Yeah. But I've thought about it. And I don't know. Maybe it's a fruitless endeavor.
Well, it is because
Very
you didn't
likely.
win the lottery.
Not yet. I don't know. Like, am I a lottery guy now? I was saying this to one of my friends. I was like, I feel like
I don't
for
think
whatever
you
reason,
be
it's
a
like a
lottery
very
guy.
Massachusetts cliche that.
Well, because I don't know if you've
Just
ever
like-
watched a movie, but everybody who lives in Massachusetts, their only life purpose is getting out of Massachusetts.
That's true.
We gotta go to Florida, man.
So
we gotta go to Florida.
We talked about this, my buddies and I, and this got confusing. I think I ended up being kind of weird about it. But they were like, where are we buying houses? Because Boston, there's not like a ton of houses Boston proper. Maybe you could check me on that. Maybe that's wrong. But like Brookline, Cambridge,
I mean, if you win
Somerville,
nearly $1 billion, I think Cambridge is probably the way to go.
right, get that like Liz Warren house.
Yeah. That like Harvard tenured professor house.
That's right. Imagine fucking living there, buying one of those houses. They're like, there's a lot of construction going on in there. Why is he turning this house into a one bed and then multi-level recording studio? Doesn't sound like he knows how to play drums. What are we doing here? Well, the good news is he played the drums once and then just like stopped for a month, so we think he's done with that. Now he's putting in a movie theater. Just constantly working on the house.
It's like a Sims house, basically.
Right, just like just constantly doing construction in an attempt to have this money make me happy. Yeah. Like, I've always loved music. I built this like music palace. Still not really sleeping at night though. Boys, let's bring in and every time you do construction, you do a wrecking ball through the whole house. Start over.
So me and my buddies have been playing a video game where the server wipes after every month. So like you build and like establish yourself in this world in like a month, and at the end of the month the server just wipes. This would be your life.
Oh yeah.
You just wipe everything after a month,
constantly rebuilding. And it would be like a band going into the studio where like every time I like a lot of those like builders and contractors would be like kind of like assuming that's like their
on
gig.
retainer.
Right. They'd be like, well, he's probably going to knock down the house in another couple months or so. And be like, yeah, I'm just feeling like a different. I saw like Mark Ronson's house in a magazine, and I want to build something like that. And I don't think that you can't do it. I just don't know that you can do it. So gonna bring in Ronson and the gang to oversee this if that's cool. And just constantly, I just love the idea of
like an
every time I realize like,
house.
You know what, life isn't perfect. Wrecking ball.
Hell yeah.
Playing Miley
that's the
Cyrus
luxury
every
of winning
time.
the lottery, man.
That's right. Okay, look at this. So Matthew Stafford just listed his Detroit mansion, $6.5 millibucks for rent, for sale.
That house is preposterous.
I'm not getting that house.
No.
That is not the type of house, and listeners, you can see what we're talking about. I'm not getting that house. I'm not getting that like the huge
like a
shopping
thing. Mall house.
No, that's stupid. Where am I gonna fucking?
So that I think like that of anything would make me extremely unhappy. Like,
oh yeah,
there's like no soul in there. Like I don't want to live in a house where I feel like I can't access every part of the house immediately.
You know what? It's what's the film? There's a Bong Joon-ho film that we liked that came out. Parasite. It's so metaphorical, isn't it?
It is.
Like a big empty house. That would be like you don't know where your drums. You go to play the drums. You don't know where the drumsticks are. I'm drumming in this multi-million-dollar fantasy of mine.
Okay.
I'm going to win millions of dollars and then
learn
finally
to play the drums.
Get to do something that like. I think like when I was a kid, my parents were like, "You can do this if you want."
My nephew Devin is like 2 years old and he has a drum set.
Really?
Yeah.
How is he?
Not good.
Would you? But he's probably better than me.
Better than me. I mean, he's played the drums one more time than I have.
I've never played the drums. I think that he could probably smoke me. But if I if he doesn't know that I'm practicing, I feel like I can catch him sleeping.
So this is like a real full circle moment.
Yeah.
You know where his drum studio is?
In Elizabeth Warren's
yes
house. By the way, I have no idea what Elizabeth Warren's house is. But when my friends and I were talking about like, oh yeah, you want to get those like Harvard, like Cambridge houses, we were like, yeah, those Liz Warren houses. I don't know how many houses she has.
She probably has one of them.
Yeah.
No,
probably one of them Liz Warren houses.
Devin's drum studio is in the old brunch studio.
Really?
So like
it's about time that place rocked.
Right. So what's happened here is that brunch is talking about wanting to get into drums eventually, and my nephew, who has barely been alive, who's been alive like half as long as this podcast has, he's overtaken the brunch studio to turn it into his drum palace.
Is there any way that either of us can get on board with both of us learning the drums?
I think like if there's any instrument that I can or would want to learn, it's like the drums.
Pete, learn how fucking cool would that be if you played the drums? Maybe I won't even touch the drums. Maybe I won't even touch the drums. You can learn how to play the drums. You having drummer as a thing, maybe you could put it in your Twitter bio. Like
plus drummer bod is a thing.
Oh yeah.
Drummer bod, that's like
yeah, you get that Taylor Hawkins bod. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You wear you wear gym shorts all the time? Drummers love gym shorts.
I don't know if I'd be a gym short guy.
Yeah, you got those stupid legs.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. You have like proportionate legs, right?
Yeah, I have decent legs.
Okay.
Well, now they're proportionate because all of my body has just withered away.
It's weird that like my brain was like, he works out, so make a joke about his legs. Like people who work out don't have, or people who lift typically don't have
skinny legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is that just like, love him, but people say that about Jared?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think he's like defiantly not working on his legs.
He has never done legs.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yo, listeners, let me tell you a little something about working out. Doing legs does suck.
It's like, horrible.
People who hate it, like I get why.
It sucks worse like the 2 days afterwards. So that was talk in the gym.
That was a little gym talk. I think that maybe I started to get some texts. I think some gym situations are maybe opening up back again. Maybe. Depending on where you are. I don't know. This podcast is for everywhere, though. So maybe that applies to something.
Want to talk about in and of itself?
Yes.
That's all I've been thinking about this week. I'll be honest with you.
And all I've been thinking about is why.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, checked it out.
I liked it a lot. And it was like a very cool, unique experience. But like I mean, I thought that you might say this, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't tell you anything that you don't really know. But I do think that it is essentially it's a magic show that is very entertaining and very like beautifully shot and put together and edited very nicely on Hulu. But it's like a very nice reminder to like, hey, take care of yourself and take care of other people.
Oh yeah, I mean, so sick performance, great message. Would have loved to physically been there and seen that. That seems like a very cool show. You're paying attention the whole time.
It was like
you're never like who cares.
So I said that a promising young woman was captivating.
Yeah.
This was like legitimately captivating.
Yeah.
I was very in from the second that it began.
Yeah, I mean, Promising Young Woman also legitimately. We're giving both of these captivating.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just the Rulatista story. What's that? I want him to keep telling that story.
That was an incredible story.
Yeah, I mean, the way he tied it in at the end, I was like, all right, that was a little stretch. But
it was a stretch because like he arranged.
Right, he just made it right. So he tells a story at the beginning of this thing. He says, a guy tells me there was a guy that used to play Russian roulette in front of people for money. His name was the Rulatista, and a guy in a bar told me that story and then said, you are the Rulatista. And I thought, what's he talking about? And at the end of the show, he says, I'm the Rulatista because I just stood in front of a bunch of people and did all these things, and I was like,
it seemed like he made it seem like it was like divine intervention or whatever,
right?
But like then he like shaped his life so that he would be the Rulatista and it would fit.
But I mean, it was emotional. It was great. It was great. It was emotional. I guess when I say why were you so into it, it wasn't. Nothing blew my mind like magically or anything.
No.
So like there was never like a holy shit in it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think that like the main reason that I've been like thinking about it and it's stuck with me is cuz like I want the message of that to stick with me. And I think every once in a while you have like these things that like remind you that like, hey, other people are going through shit.
Oh, totally.
And like it's very much it puts a focus on like identity and complexity, and I think that was very cool.
Totally. And like his experience of growing up with a gay mom and how she was treated, how he was treated, and like there's so much exactly that. Like consider what other people have been through, consider what other people are going through, and none of that really exists anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything is just like a big great game of let's all be as horrible to each other as we can, and that's fucking devastating.
I would recommend this show to basically anybody just to like as a reminder that like, hey, you don't know everything.
Right. Yes. I took a little Twitter break over the weekend, and it was maybe 2 days long. Like late Friday, I was like, I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna not look at Twitter. And then I was like, you know what? I'll take the weekend off. And I think I checked back in Sunday night, after the football games were done. Made a couple of jokes about Tom Brady being like, let's be fucking real, guys. He didn't play well. Okay?
Did in the first half.
He did in the first half. And you know what? I don't know what this stat is, but somebody put it out there. Only one quarterback the last 20 years has played a half as bad as Tom Brady did in that game and won. Like, he was fucking horrible in that second
I mean, they did their best to give away the game.
Yeah.
And just the Packers didn't want to take it.
This drives me crazy. Like, we can acknowledge that Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl right now because of his team.
Yeah.
So you just said, like, yeah, like, no shit. And that's what a lot of people say. But it's just like the pro Brady shit of, like,
Like they're only in the Super Bowl because of Tom Brady.
If we don't say that Tom Brady does everything, it's like a knock on this incredible legacy he has. Like, what do you?
So I guess like where the gray area there is, and I don't know how we got into this from in and of itself, but like the gray area there is that like, do they have that good of a team if Brady?
Yes.
If Brady doesn't go there.
Yes, Jameis Winston was so bad last year that I think you put an okay quarterback there, and they're getting into the playoffs.
I don't know, man. Jameis wasn't a 30 touchdown passes last year.
That's right. That was the only statistic. They went from 30 picks to 12 picks, which is that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Also 12 picks, not amazing. But they had the best receiver room in the NFL, really good defense. They added to their offensive line, 13th overall pick. Like, there is this weird thing where just like you're not allowed to acknowledge that the Bucs are a good team, and that drives me crazy. So you've probably seen me on Twitter melting down about that, and the reaction is always one of two things. Like, obviously, like, who's this? Yes, of course. Like, yeah, Brady's good, but like, so are the Bucs. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just fucking like a genius chess move by Tom Brady to choose a team that just has had very little success historically. Because now, like, it just seems like he's totally
right.
Everything
7-9 last year, Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Tom Brady's there. Yeah.
Like, if he had gone to like the 49ers and found success there, they'd be like,
they're in
okay,
Super Bowl this year.
People would have been like, yo, the 49ers were good before Tom Brady got there. He just put them over the top.
Right.
Now it just seems like Brady owns the success of the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
The ultimate chess move.
And I understand why people were saying that, but again, like, the last 2 weeks, how has Tom Brady played? And did they win? So the guys he's playing with probably aren't slouches. Maybe. And this happens all the time. Like, good teams carry their good players when they don't play well. Tom Brady against the Saints, yikes. Thank God Drew Brees was so bad.
The good news for you, and that anybody trying to make this argument, is that, like, you're not playing you have to play a perfect game to beat the Chiefs.
Maybe. I kind of think that I kind of think the Bucs are going to win. And this is me maybe being a bit of an asshole. Tom Brady's due for a good game. He hasn't played well. And B, the Chiefs lost their left tackle, Eric Fisher, first overall pick.
Tough.
That could be tough. But Mahomes is the fucking best ever to do it.
And
so
Tyreek Hill absolutely destroyed them earlier this year. Like, he went off for like 240 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Tyreek Hill is...
I wish that I could root for that guy. I'll tell you.
Not a good guy. Similar to
I wish that I could root for him because he's fucking amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. Top 2 or 3, but what a fucking not good guy. Anyway, so it took a little break from Twitter, and it just felt... It sounds so stupid. I'm talking about, like, literally taking 2 days off. But, like, this is a fucking thing that we look at every day.
I don't really anymore, which is very nice.
Really? You'll go like a day without looking at it?
I don't spend too much time on there anymore if I'm not tweeting.
So that's kind of how I felt about it when I came back. I was like, I want to go back on Twitter and tweet a couple of things, but I don't. And then like some people I know like would respond and they got into little conversations. I was like, I don't really want to do that. I just wanted to
I get in and out.
Give my tweet. Yeah.
I get in and out, and like if I want to have a conversation or I want to like engage in some discourse, I'm there. But otherwise, yeah.
Because we've said this, we've complained about Twitter a million times, but it just like makes me so fucking sad. Like even like friends, like I like you better, and I'll just use you as the example, so I'm not using like examples of other people, but like I like you better in real life than I like you on Twitter.
Yeah,
you know?
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I feel like people don't know that though. Like, and not to say that like they just like, oh, I don't care what Pete is. We just know him as like this little avatar and everything. Like you say better, smarter, funnier things to me when I'm talking to you than a tweet I see of yours, because because everything has to get put through like this like Twitter filter. Sounds wrong because it makes it sound like you're cleaning it up or whatever, but the filter, when I say like Twitter filter, like dumber, you know, like we all have to be so much dumber on Twitter.
Make it more accessible, baby.
We all have to, and I just like this happens so much more often. I'll see like friends, they'll tweet something and I'll just look, I'm the worst tweeter in the world, so it takes one to know one. But I will see friends tweet stuff, and I'm like, "Oy, God,
this is below your pay grade."
Right? Like, yo, like, come on, you like, no. And that's again, I do that. I tweet the stupidest shit in the world. But in my defense, I'm if I tweet insufferable shit, I like to think that like I'm saying insufferable shit here too. Like I'm as annoying here as I am.
Yeah,
on
your
there.
Twitter is an extension of your brand, for better or for worse.
I you know what? Not to say this isn't a badge of honor or anything. I think that I'm like one of very few people who do that, and they shouldn't do that. I think you should have your Twitter person. You should have your real life person.
You are
equally messy.
A staunch refusal to embrace the things that make you a successful Twitter person.
I don't know if there's a thing that could make me a successful Twitter person.
Well, not you, because you have a staunch denial of those things.
Yeah.
You see like the what do you call them? Like the common practices or like the proper practices for growing a Twitter account. And you're like, hey, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna be me.
Yo, let's do that as a as I'm saying, like, it's so nice to get off Twitter. Now I'm like, let's do an experiment where we look at like the common Twitter practices and see what we'll do, like a supersize me thing. Like, see how my Twitter body changes over the course of whatever. Because I mean, every time I tweet now, I lose followers from like Brady people or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're not even like the responses I get aren't even funny.
That's the worst place to be. It's like
they're just like your mom would hate your face. I'm like, I put a little fucking concealer under my eyes. I'll look fucking incredible. Shut up. You just chose a bad picture.
Well,
maybe maybe we'll look it up, or we can just buy followers.
Sounds like
let's buy a million Twitter followers that never tweet again.
Let's win the lottery, set up a Twitter account, really make it pop, and then take a wrecking ball to it.
Yeah, it's get what's his face. Let's hire. Who do you think what's his face uses? Who's the basketball player that has that just
Rex Chapman.
Rex Chapman. Find out like what group or whatever Rex Chapman uses. Be like, hey, let's become like a meme account or whatever his account is, and wrecking ball every couple months. We wipe out all the followers.
You know what would be a cool idea is if we win the lottery and then like just like buy like a Rex Chapman account and then just delete it. That sounds like it'd be cool.
Yeah, buy Rex Chapman's account off of him for what do you think that goes for?
$10? What could it cost?
I don't know. I bet Darren Rovell has the answer on that. I bet Darren Rovell could tell you like this Twitter account is worth this much money.
Oh, Darren Rovell definitely knows the exact monetary value of his own Twitter account and what it would take to buy it off him.
I mean, I know the monetary value of his Twitter account is like multiple jobs and pay raises.
Yep.
That guy, man, people want to dog that guy. Twitter has been very that sounds so incorrect to say Twitter's been very good to Darren Rovell because Twitter by the second is horrible to Darren Rovell, but it's been good to him. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have Darren Rovell back on. Who knows?